logging on, make sure that they can see everything and hear everything. So hold tight and then we'll get started. Okay, we're going to give it just one more moment here before we get started. People are still logging on. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to our webinar on innovative ways to transform inbound and outbound communications with self-service automation. This webinar is presented by Michael Ciancio and Derek Boudreau. If you don't already know us, IntelliPeer simplifies communications automation with AI for businesses and contact centers. Our platform lowers the cost of doing business while improving customer experience and accelerating ROI. Before we get started, let's go over a few details. Today's webinar is being recorded and it will be available on demand over the next few days. As soon as we have it live and uploaded, we will send it out to you via email. You'll receive a link to the session. You can, of course, always share that with your colleagues, with anybody else that you'd like to learn about our session. You can submit any questions in the questions pane of the control panel over there where it says chat. I'm putting in, I'll put in a question note there that's where you should leave them in just a moment. You can also email your questions directly to webinars@intellipeer.com. So one final reminder that this is being recorded. We will send you the recording as soon as we have it available. And that's all. Okay, Derek, it's all yours.
Great, thank you. And hello, everybody. My name is Derek Boudreau, and I'm the Senior Director for AI and Data Product Management here at IntelliPeer.
All right, I'll go next. Mike Ciancio, VP of Product Marketing. Been here with the company for about 2 or 3 years through a very transitional passage from who we are today to who we were, and I think today's topic is really, really timely in terms of not only understanding the benefit of both inbound and outbound capabilities when it comes to certain aspects of self-service automation in front of the contact center, but to understand the benefits, to understand the architecture, to understand the different types of interactions and how it's set up today versus what I think is the future, right? And I think Derek and I are going to go through not only what are the benefits of that, how do you do it, what do you look for when it comes to that, when it comes to a partner, but also what are the benefits of the new types of interactions, both from the yesterday to the future. So in terms of the overall agenda, we'll talk a little bit about the overall failure to reach full potential for the contact center, and then transition into what is a customer-driven support model, and how has that changed over time and over the past year, 2 years, 3 years. We'll talk a little bit more about delivering self-service. So specifically around what is self-service, how does that benefit you, what are the automation capabilities, and what are the differences between leveraging both AI agents as a part of that self-service automation, and also how that allows us to embrace personalized interactions, leveraging data, analytics, and bringing everything to the forefront so that the experience that you're providing specifically to your customers before it even has to reach a human agent is paramount to success moving forward, and to the expectation of what I think the customer base and your customer base is looking for. So let's set the table a little bit. Everybody for the most part has some length of a contact center in terms of taking in customer service, right? It could be as simple as, what is my banking statement, to where is my product, to varying different types of appointment management capabilities. But regardless of what the use case is specifically, very rarely do contact centers reach their full potential. And I think it's for a few reasons, right? The first one I think is not shocking. The average tenure for an agent right now is less than a year. And that's taking into account both the 3 to 6 months it's required to fully ramp those people, specifically to get them to talk about not only what they're responding to, but how they're responding. What is the tone? What is the consistent message? What is the experience that you want your customers to feel when they call into your business dealing with a human agent? And I think from a process perspective, over 60% of those interactions that are happening with your agent aren't having a consistent tone and context, specifically because they don't have the innovation, they don't have the experience, they don't have the data, they don't have the personalization that a lot of AI agents can provide up front. And a lot of that has to go back to the people issue, not only from a humanality perspective, right? We're all human, we all have emotion, we all have bad days, we all go on vacation. But more importantly, the ability to train people consistently and have them be there long enough in order to maintain that consistency can lead to an inefficiency, not only in the process, but also in your brand recognition and what you want your customers to see as your brand. And I would say from an efficiency aspect, it's unrealized potential to get those agents specifically to be both efficient and productive. And I think, leveraging AI agents and self-service automation will allow those agents to be inherently more efficient, because you're going to take away a lot of the upfront interaction that can be handled specifically. As I said before, it could be something for banking. It could be for where is my location or hours for a dental practice. There are varying different types of FAQs and appointment management types capabilities that could be handled completely and utterly through self-service automation, both inbound and outbound. And we're going to go through some examples of those in some of these verticals that I'm mentioning in a few slides. But just allowing the AI agent to specifically handle and to continuously improve the interaction that it's having with your customer will inherently make your agent more productive, more efficient, and anything that does need to be escalated specifically to the agent will come with data, context, and personalization, so they can handle that increased inquiry with style and context and consistency. And I think that also allows for a higher level of performance and to shrink the gap between your top performing agents and your bottom performing agents. There's always a top and bottom to everything from a performance perspective, but building that gap from the top and the bottom to make everything more consistent will allow for a lot better benefits. But even more so, think about the bottom row here in terms of what are some of the areas that all of those things add together to create some issues. Think about the higher operating costs, the ability for people to turn over, the inefficiency for the agents specifically. The gap in the performance aspect leads to higher operating costs. The inconsistency when it comes to the experience, right? That inherently leads to lower CSAT scores, lower retention. There are aspects and stats that say, 60% or 62%, I think it was, of people will move to another provider just based on one bad experience. So it's paramount for your consistency in that experience for your customer to be handled correctly, so you don't lower their CSAT, which also affects your retention, which lowers your ability to keep that customer as one of your customers. And that directly affects your lower revenue, right? So how do we look at different ways to not only help you increase your revenue, increase your experience, lower your operating costs? And Derek here is going to take us through kind of what does that look like from an interactions perspective, how that's changed, and we'll go through some benefits, some examples. So I'm excited to get started. So Derek, do you want to go through some of this?
Absolutely. So before we talk about automation, let's talk a little bit about the agent's role in an interaction. And by agent, I mean a human agent. So really their role is to listen to the customer, extract the need or the intent of the customer during the course of the interaction, and then use that to translate it into their understanding, their experience, their knowledge of the training that they've had on the associated business process, and to do so to fulfill the needs of the customer in a successful way. So the agent, so the customer's role in this experience is to state their need in ways that are personalized to them, and then for the agent to translate it into the associated business process. Now, there is a cost to this, both in terms of real dollars. The human agent has a cost associated with it, but there's also what I call some customer experience cost as well. So that comes in the form of, and Mike alluded to this, availability of agents. So maybe I have to wait on hold a significant amount of time before I can speak with an agent to carry through this, to carry out my intent. Maybe an agent that I connect to for that particular day is having a bad day, and that's coming through on the experience that I'm having to them. So there are some customer experience costs as well as real costs with using human agents to fulfill the intents of the caller. So there's pros and cons, benefits and costs. So to answer this, what we've seen in the past are some self-service applications through the technologies that have been available to really make up for these costs, right? So to provide these more consistent experiences that are always available to the customer, so they can call in at any point in time and fulfill their intent. But this also has a customer experience cost to it. And in the yesterday self-service, the customer experience cost is we're now exposing the complexities of the underlying business process to the customer during the course of the interaction. So we're holding them to rigid constructs of having to how they need to state their intent, to how they need to fulfill that intent through a very, again, a rigid, strict manner during the course of the interaction that doesn't fit maybe their particular way of needing to communicate or meet their needs. And so, though it reduces the cost of the wait times, the human costs, and so on, it introduces these new costs of a customer experience that might not be ideal, that actually oftentimes, as we know, might end up at an agent anyway. So might end up at a human agent, increasing the actual dollar cost of this interaction, and in many ways, complicating the customer experience as well as we try and fulfill their intent using these various mechanisms, right? So there's different kinds of customer experience costs with our current or yesterday's self-service capabilities. So what do modern self-service interactions look like that are leveraging our AI capabilities? And what we're doing here is we're actually, the AI agent is leveraging AI to combine the flexibility of that human interaction with the consistent, always available self-service experience of yesterday. And we can do this with the natural language capabilities of the AI agents to really understand and extract the customer's intent based on how they're interacting with us, right? We're not holding them to a rigid hierarchy of the way they need to speak in order to understand why they're making contact. And then with the information gathered during the course of the interaction, the AI agent can act on the customer's behalf to navigate through these complex business processes, or the business processes to fulfill that intent without having to expose it to the end user. All the while communicating back to the end user with its natural language generation capabilities in a way that's contextually relevant to how the customer is interacting and speaking with us. And so really, it uses these capabilities, natural language understanding, natural language generation, ability to traverse these business processes to successfully resolve and fulfill the customer's intent in a ways that combines both the best of the human-based interactions, the best of the self-service interactions of yesterday, while eliminating the customer experience costs of each of those along the way. Oh, sorry, Mike.
Yep. And I think it's important here to kind of call out some of those benefits just based on the modernized self-service interaction model, right? You've went through what a typical interaction would be just being agent-based, human-based, specifically around what yesterday's self-service interactions look like and what a more modernized self-service interaction looks like. And upfront, it's less training, right? It's the ability for the AI agent to be obviously very smart, but also continuously improving in terms of what it's leveraging from a data perspective and also what it's learning from an intent perspective to guide the customer to that customer resolution that it's looking for, which inherently, is less training involved for the human agent. And taking those interactions specifically and increasing that overall call containment allows that agent to be much more improved from an efficiency perspective, right? They're not handling certain things that come specifically from a script, whether it's FAQs or appointment management, certain things that are very timely, especially where we don't have the ability to hire the right staff, might not have the right skill set, or are consistently turning over. It allows us to realize a lot of these modern benefits. And if you think about that consistent and more customer focused experience, that will exponentially increase your customer satisfaction and the ability to be consistent with being on 24/7, 365, not only from a inquiry perspective, but also from a support perspective. These AI agents don't take vacations and they don't take into emotions, but they're there to understand intent, but generate natural language to make sure that we lead to the customer resolution that they're looking for. And I think the basis for this, and Derek, I want you to go through a few examples here in the next slide, just in terms of how AI agents kind of, work together around the self-service automation interaction. But it's also enhanced data insights, right? The more interactions that are handled by the AI agent allows for that data and contextual information to be shared, not only to the varying different types of third-party business enterprise infrastructure applications that are already there, but then allowing that to continuously improve. So the next interaction that AI agent takes from a self-service perspective is better, it's more enhanced, it's more improved, it's smarter. And I think it's good to kind of, let's give everyone kind of a couple examples, whether it's horizontally or vertically on what that kind of looks like. So let's go through a few of those.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, so let's take some verticals that we deal with here often, insurance. So an AI agent is very good at helping a customer understand the status of their claim. And so, call in, describe what you're looking for, provide details about your claim, and the AI agent can extract that understanding based on your spoken intent, traverse the necessary workflows, extract the information, and then provide it back to you in the appropriate way during the course of the interaction. Now we can also look at the AI agents can also provide outbound capabilities as well, and so proactively provide update of your claim status to you as another way to provide more of a proactive customer care during the course of an interaction. So instead of waiting for you to make a call in, the AI agent will reach out to you, provide that status update, and really eliminate some of those calls coming into the contact center or coming into the service to provide that information. Quick serve restaurants and retail, new orders. So the AI agent understands the available items on your menu and can submit an order on behalf of the customer based on how you're ordering, based on how you're speaking about what you want to order, match it to the items on the menu, and then fulfill the menu item as needed, the menu order as needed. But also, if you think about, let's say every Friday night, I order pizzas for my family, 1 large pepperoni and a small cheese. We can actually, the AI agent can predict that, hey, Derek always orders this order every Friday. Let me proactively reach out to Derek because I predicted that it's very likely he's going to order this Friday as well, and suggest that I can submit the order for you at 5 o'clock when you usually order. Make the order. Would you like me to do that for you? Send me a text to do so. So the agent can proactively act on my behalf as well, based on predictive capabilities that I'm going to actually call to make an order anyway. And then healthcare, scheduling an appointment. AI agent again can take the call to collect the necessary information to schedule an appointment on behalf of the caller. and then proactively reach out with appointment reminders to ensure that the appointments are kept and the schedules are maintained as needed. All right. So we talked a lot about personalized interactions. So this both means using access to the data during the course of the interaction to personalize the interaction with specifics about me and my account status during the course of the interaction. But we also mean personalized interactions, such as in an insurance interaction where somebody calls in and says, I'm calling about a claim. That's just how they want to approach this interaction. They just want to give minimal information as needed. But the AI agent can use that as a starting point and then continue down the path to extract the information that they need to get the information as needed to provide the update about the claim. Or if you call in and say, I'm calling about my claim submitted on September 1st, the AI agent can use that information provided to traverse the workflow needed and the business process needed to provide to fulfill your intent. Or you can come in and provide all the information up front that you're looking for about your claim on the first and your order number. And the AI agent can adapt to that input as well and provide the necessary information that you're looking for to resolve your call. Now, this goes back to that, it's a very flexible way of interacting with the end caller that is in a personalized way based on how the interaction is progressing versus holding the caller and the customer to a rigid set of processes to get to their end goal. So it's very adaptable and personalized in that way. All right. So with that, Mike, want to summarize for us?
Yeah, I just want to hit on a few points before we go on to questions and certain aspects. And I hope, everything we went through today was a nice high level introduction into both self-service automation, AI agents, but also the ability for inbound and outbound capabilities. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of aspects and use cases where, they solve and automation can solve for inbound capabilities or inquiries. And that's, can be somewhat table stakes, but the ability to leverage AI agents specifically, allows it to be more personalized, more flexible to what Derek was just talking about in the previous slide. But I want you to understand that the ability to do both inbound and outbound, having fully blown agents for both inbound and outbound communications for self-service automation goes a long way in the overall customer experience, right? And you can transform what that looks like by leveraging both sides. We went through a few examples, whether it's taking in an order, from a quick service restaurant, or whether it's an appointment reminder on the back end side of it for a healthcare. That, allows for a consistent experience, but it also allows for an increase in revenue, right? It also allows you to operationalize your agents specifically around, making sure you have the right amount of staff to handle certain types of inquiries. And I think the ability to have innovative ways for both inbound and outbound capabilities will set you apart and differentiate yourself from a competitor perspective because you are providing that consistent experience. And I think, overall, the ability for people to leverage outbound capabilities specifically, whereas an area that not a lot of people are leveraging AI agents specifically for that, I think sets you apart specifically for you from your competition. And obviously what we're trying to provide in the market to make sure that you're receiving and you're understanding and you're realizing the actual benefits that we leverage both through data and analytics and through dashboards and reporting. And I think overall, taking the examples that we had just in these few different verticals that we've seen some really good success in, over the past, many years that we've been dealing with them. There's different ways to do it, and there's not one way to crack an egg. And I think there's ways to do things out of the box, and there's customized ways to do that as well. And everything needs to be tailored to what you're trying to provide from a consistent experience. Overall, Derek, anything I left out of there just in terms of what you would want people to walk away from if they listened to nothing we said in the last 25 minutes?
No, I think you covered it well. And actually, I think we have some questions that might help us dig in a little bit deeper as well.
Perfect. Rebecca, do we have anything in the chat you want to go through? And one last thing before we start that, I'm going to leave this up during the questions specifically. if you have interest, if you have use cases that you can't solve for, if you're having problems with the varying different types of aspects we spoke about in the last 20 to 25 minutes, please feel free to use the QR code that's up here just to schedule a 30-minute demo. We're happy to show you how we do it from an execution perspective. I'll leave that up there just so you guys have time to think about it and access that. But Rebecca, if you want to start through some of the questions, I see some coming in as we speak.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So we do have a few questions here. We have 5 minutes left, so we'll get through as many as we can. This first question here is, did IntelliPeer build the AI capabilities for self-service automation, or are we using products from other companies?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'll take that one. So, so we do have our own capabilities for self-service automation, leveraging our Smart Flows platform. We leverage OpenAI's language model hosted on Azure, on our own dedicated instance of Azure, as part of our Smart Flows automation, to combine the use of AI with our ability to interact with the business processes, with our ability to business process and data from customers' environments, with our ability to manage the communication channel, whether it's a phone call, a chat, SMS, MMS, and so on, or all the above within one interaction as well. So yes, we have our platform that leverages AI to provide these AI-based self-service capabilities.
Wonderful, thank you. And the next question here says, how is the AI agent trained, and what does setup look like?
Yeah, fantastic question. So we have an AI workflow builder as part of our application. And through that, you have a few different ways to set up. Well, there's a standard ways to set up. One is you can provide what I call enterprise or brand specific data through what we call a knowledge collection. So this is information that the AI experience will have access to during the course of the interaction. So appointment scheduling, maybe it's the hours that appointments are available, or your cancellation policy. If you happen to cancel an appointment, you can make all that information, or an FAQ document is typical training data, load that up into our knowledge collection, and the AI experience has access to that. The AI agent has access to that during the experience. The setup is pretty straightforward for that, and also for testing the AI agents as needed during the course of the interaction.
All right, thank you. We do have at least one more here. We've been looking into this and how to select a partner. What should we be looking for in a partner?
Derek, you want to start? And I have a few thoughts, but why don't you start, and I'll add in.
Yeah, I think so. I think the important things are a partner that understands the customer experience, that understands how to marry the ability to manage the communication channel with the back end, with the data sources and the processes, along with the benefits of AI, as we've explained here. So it's really this recipe of these parts that need to come together in the appropriate way to deliver the desired experiences and the outcomes that we've shown here today.
Yeah, and the only thing I was going to add to that is dealing with someone who has the experience, but also the managed services capabilities, the examples, case studies and things that, we can speak to in varying different types of verticals. You want to make sure that the partner that you select not only can, show the process and the integrations and the setup and everything, but you also want to make sure that they've, done it for other customers, that they've realized those benefits. I think in this, agentic AI world, there's a lot of, information out there in terms of how people can get started, what they're capable of doing, but might not necessarily have done it at scale. This is something that we've been doing at scale for some time. We have the customer examples that we've done before it. So make sure you do your due diligence to make sure that what you're doing is someone who's experienced, has expertise in managed services. So when there's aspects of being set up, onboarding, or more of the professional services going forward, I think that's paramount to making sure that things are executed appropriately, and that things are monitored and optimized and continuously improving as your business continues to grow.
All right, and just one final question that I think we can squeak in here. It says, I can make my own AI agent. Why would I go with a partner instead?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that we get often, and it goes back to some of the things I was talking about earlier as well. That really to successfully handle to provide a self-service capability, leveraging an AI agents, it's really this recipe of these three pieces of the ability to manage the experience across the channel. So whether it's the phone calls, the chats, emails, SMS, and so on. Marrying that with the ability to leverage generative AI for this customer experience, right? Purpose built for the experience being provided with a secure access to the data and processes needed to fulfill the intent or fulfill the customer's need. So having a platform that can manage, that can do all these three things is really the key to success here. And it's not just the AI agent itself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you so much for that wonderful information. We are at the end of our time here. If we didn't get to your question, please feel free to email it to webinars@intellipere.com. You can also always visit our website at www.intellipere.ai. That's it. Thank you, Derek and Michael. That was wonderful information. Everyone, we will be sending this webinar out to you via email in the coming days. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.